Hey yo, what is going on guys? Cash and Clean here, and for today's video I just wanted to talk about how to get the 3 new dragons that came out with this Mystic Year update. So basically there's kind of a few steps to this, but I'll try to break it down. What you want to do is look for these quote-unquote invaders. They're going to spawn in like world bosses, but it's not going to be like an actual boss. It's going to be more like a crafting bench. So like if you know the resistors crafting bench, you can go in there, craft the beacons, and then go to whatever club world you're in, and then you can throw them down for all of your club people. So this kind of works the same way. I recommend doing this in groups, but you can also do this solo. It will just take a little bit longer. But what you want to do is go into the long shade area and farm every single plant that is in the current rotation. Once you get all of the plants, try to find an area on the map that has all 3 biomes next to each other. Then once you do that, what you want to do is gather your group, go over there. You can also do this solo. I'll show you guys in a second on how to actually find a group, but basically just take them over there, invite them, and what you want to do is go a little bit past the edge of that biome, so you're actually looking into the biome. Have one person looking in, I don't know, say deserts, another one in permafrost, the other in forbidden spires. Those aren't the exact ones, but I'm just giving you guys an example. So have each person looking in a certain direction. The other people doesn't really matter as long as you're having at least one person doing that. And once you do that, maybe like 20 minutes later, you're gonna see these world bosses, these obelisks spawn in. And if you did it correctly, you should see one in all 3 biomes. So the next step is you go into them and you want to craft whatever resource that you want. So there's 3 dragons and then there's 3 in there. Sometimes you'll have more in there, but it'll be separated. So there's gonna be one for Pyric, one for Zephyr, and one for Abyssal. And that's going to be corresponding to the 3 dragons. So depending on the dragon that you want to farm for, maybe you can agree upon that with your group, or you can just pick a random one. What you want to do is, if you have the chat mod, I will link that Trove source page in the description, or you can just check out my mods video to download it. But basically, you want to do timer/5, and then the moment the timer gets to 1 or the timer gets to go, all you want to do is craft it with your group. That way coordinating the exact time will be pretty easy. And the reason why you want to do this is the moment you craft it, the thing is just going to disappear. And it's not like the end of the world. If it does disappear, there will be other ones that spawn around, so you can just use those. So once you craft them, all you want to do is fight the bosses. It's not going to take you like a super long amount of time, especially if you actually made it to the long shade area. And I highly recommend doing this on a Friday, because obviously you get more fragments, and then if you have like at least a day of patron, you can activate that and you can make use of your Fridays a little bit more efficiently. So with the group, it took me about 3 to 4 hours to get every single dragon, and then the Pyric dragon you can actually effigy or get the tradable version of that dragon. I don't know if it's actually on the market, but maybe you can ask in trade chat or just around if you want to do it that way. But the options are there if you want to just not get that dragon and just use the effigy or whatever. So you'd have to farm 2 of the 3 dragons, but it's not super difficult to farm, so you may as well just farm all 3. Now for resources like the essence and the fragments that you'll need to craft these things, the fragments you can just get by doing dungeons. The essence, there's actually an ally you can use. If you go to the store, there's a pack that came with this update, so you can get that. Technically a free one, but you have to buy it. Or if you go to the bench, there's a couple allies in there corresponding to whichever essence, so whenever you complete a dungeon, you'll be able to get one. And then in the anvil, there's one where if you break your rune, then you're gonna get essence on top of that. And then the other way is getting them from the trunks. I will talk about a video covering basically everything that I just talked about in a separate video, because that's just going to be like its own thing. For now, we're just going to talk about the dragons, and assuming you have these resources. But anyway, as you do whatever you have to at the obelisk, you'll complete it, it'll go away, and then you want to repeat the same exact steps. So you want to gather all the plants around the entire area, then find a place where you can see all 3 biomes, gather your group, and then you can just rinse and repeat. Now, a couple things to note. If you do have a group, I would highly recommend just making a channel in Trove. And I'm not sure if you guys actually knew this, but you could just do /join and then just type in anything you want to. So an example that I did is I did /join dragon farm, and then I invited 8 people in there, because if you don't know, it only goes to the nearest 8 people. So if you have more than 8 people, then you might not get the fragments, which will be a little bit annoying. And once you gather your group into that chat, it'll just be like /3 or /4 or whatever you have. It'll just show up on there. You can just communicate with them in there, and then you can just do whatever I talked about in the video. Now, to gather a group, all you want to do is go into the long shade area, maybe ask a couple people from your club if they need to farm the new dragon. You might get a lot of no's, you might get people that just don't respond to you, but that's alright. Even if you get at least one person, then it'll be extra beneficial, because you're both kind of benefiting from each other. You might get scammed. Some people might say that they will help you, and then they actually just won't help you. Try to be careful on who you trust. Don't fall for any scams. Don't pay anyone for this. I mean, I guess technically you can make flux with this if you ask somebody to craft it, but like, I feel like that's just asking to get scammed at that point, so maybe not even worth it. And I remember back in the day, there used to be a dragon chat. I don't even know if it's even active anymore, but I would just recommend going into Longshade, trying to find a group there, just ask in world chat if somebody needs the new dragons, and then you can just farm with them. And if not, then you're probably gonna have to do it solo. It's not the end of the world. you'll get like, I don't know, maybe 6-ish fragments per obelisk, but at least you'll be making progress. The only annoying part is once you gather enough plants, you just kind of have to sit there and wait for the obelisk to spawn. And the other thing that sucks is that you're going to be seeing it in one biome, because it's just going to spawn for you in wherever area you are. So that's why farming with the group is a lot better. But I understand that it's going to be a little bit difficult, especially the further we go into this update, more people have the dragons, so it might be hard to find the group. But anyway, once you gather enough fragments, you can take it to the dragon crucible. There's 2 in the fragments section and 1 in the hatched. For the hatched, you want to make sure you craft the egg, so take your fragments, craft the egg, and then go to the hatched and craft that dragon. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comments down below. I'll be sure to answer that. But on that note, thank you all so much for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing, and I will talk to you all later.